What is spondylolisthesis? How do you identify it on X-ray? What are the various types? What symptoms do the patients have? How to treat it? You'll get your answers for all these questions in this video. Welcome to Vids Made Simple. In this video, you will learn about spondylolisthesis. First things first, if you are new here, smash the subscribe button and join 65,000 medical students across the globe to learn all topics in med school in a simplified manner. You can download the PPT of this video. I've given the link in the description. It's literally lesser than the cost of a dosa you ate for the breakfast today. Spondylolisthesis is the forward displacement of one vertebra over the other. It can also be referred as vertebral slip. In most cases of listhesis, there is a problem in pars interarticularis part of the vertebra. It is kind of like a weak link between the vertebral body anteriorly and the posterior spinal elements posteriorly. Other causes include degenerative wear and tear in the intervertebral discs, degeneration of the facet joints, and in some cases it can occur due to congenital anomalies in children in various parts of the vertebral elements. It usually occurs at L5-S1 level and L4-L5 level. Now it can be classified into 5 types based on the etiology as Isthmic, Dysplastic, Degenerative, Pathological, and Traumatic types. Let's see few key points about each type. Isthmic type is the most common type. Here the problem is in the pars interarticularis part. It is usually seen in adolescents and young adults. Here you can see a representation of lower lumbosacral spine and the pars interarticularis is highlighted. It is present in between the superior articular facet and the inferior articular facet, as you can see here. Isthmic type is further classified into 3 subtypes: lytic, pars elongation type, and pars fracture type. Lytic type is where there is a defect in the pars, but it is not fractured completely. In pars elongation type, the pars is abnormally elongated. The third type is pars fracture, where the pars is completely fractured. Due to the pars fracture, half of the spinal elements such as the body, pedicles, and superior facet move anteriorly, and the laminae and inferior facets displaces posteriorly. Dysplastic type. This is seen in children with congenital anomalies in the vertebrae such as defective facet joint, pars interarticularis, and sacral deficiency. These factors can lead to listhesis. Degenerative type. It is common in elderly population due to the degenerative changes which occur in the vertebrae. Facetal degeneration occurring in the vertebrae is a key pathology. It is usually a low-grade slip in cases of degenerative type, unlike lytic and dysplastic types, which usually progresses to high-grade slips. In degenerative type, the common level involved is L4, L5 level. Pathological type is the type of listhesis which occurs when the spine elements are damaged by an underlying pathology. It can be a generalized pathology in the body or a localized pathology in the spine. Examples are infections like pot spine, metabolic conditions, and even in tumors like vertebral metastasis. Traumatic type is quite rare, which occurs following injury to the spine. Clinical features now. We gotta ask history and examine the patient. Patients generally present with lower backache, which may or may not be accompanied with radiating pain to lower limb. There may be weakness or numbness of lower limb if there is compression of nerve roots. In case of involvement of cauda icona or conus medullaris, there is bowel and bladder involvement in form of urinary incontinence or retention. Clinically, there is often a visible or palpable step as you roll down the spine of the patient from above in the midline. Patients might have increased lumbar lordosis, means there's an exaggeration of the curve in the lower back. The nerve root tension signs are straight leg raise test and Lustig test, which elicits the radiating current-like pain from back to lower limb. A thorough neurological examination is needed to identify any motor or sensory involvement due to nerve root compression. Bowel and bladder examination in form of BCR, voluntary anal contraction, anal tone, and perianal sensation are also required for a complete examination. In X-ray anteroposterior view in high-grade listhesis, it is seen as an inverted Napoleon hat sign, which our subscriber Mr. Anandakrishnan had identified currently in the poll which I conducted in the post. Congratulations. In lateral view, we can see the slip of L4 vertebra anteriorly over L5 vertebra. In this X-ray over here, we can grade the listhesis by Meyerding Classification into 5 grades. First, you can see a normal looking spine. In grade 1, is where there is less than 25% of the slip, means there is only 25% of the vertebra has translated over the vertebra which is present below. In grade 2 there is 25 to 50% of slip, and grade 3 is where there is 50 to 75% slip. In grade 4 there is 75 to 100% slip. In grade 5 there is 100% slip, means that there is complete slip, which is also known as spondyloptosis. Now if you are still watching, hit the subscribe button as a small favor for me. I value each and every subscriber of mine. It helps me to make more videos for you guys. Now let's see two important radiological signs in listhesis. In the image on the left, you can see that the pars is having a defect, which is looking like a dog wearing a collar. So it is called as Scotty Dog collar sign. This is seen in spondylolisthesis. In the image on the right, you can see that the pars is completely fractured and separated. This is seen in spondylolisthesis, and this sign is called as beheaded Scotty Dog sign. Sometimes the X-ray might look normal or low-grade listhesis might be present, but the patients might be having a lot of instability signs. That might be due to dynamic instability of the spine. This can be identified better on dynamic X-rays by flexion and extension films in lateral view. Now let's discuss the treatment part. Usually, low-grade listhesis and asymptomatic patients doesn't require treatment. They just need reassurance and lifestyle changes. In symptomatic patients, we need to choose between conservative management versus surgical management. Conservative management means treating without surgery. We advise strict activity modification and physiotherapy like back strengthening. Braces like lumbar corset are worn to provide some relief. Analgesics are prescribed considering the patient factors like age and comorbidities. Advise the patient to avoid over-the-counter medications. In cases which could not be managed conservatively, surgery is required. Decompression of nerve roots done with fusion of unstable vertebra. This is the surgical management of listhesis. Based on approach used to decompress, there are various types such as posterior lumbar interbody fusion, also known as PLIF, and transforaminal lumbar interbody fusion, also known as TLIF. This is a post-operative X-ray where the listhesis is reduced and fixed with implants by transforaminal lumbar interbody fusion. You can see the implants used here. The implants used in the surgery are pedicle screws, reduction screws, cages such as bean and bullet cages, in which we pack the bone graft to facilitate the fusion between the two unstable vertebral bodies, and the screws are connected using connecting rods which are used to connect the screws. Congratulations on watching till the end. Please hit the like and subscribe button and join our MedVids Made Simple family for more such videos. And don't forget to check out the lecture slides. Download it using the link in the description of this video for just $1. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.